James 1 verses 12 through 15 says this: Blessed are those who persevere under trial, because when they have stood the test, they will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. When tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me, for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each of you is tempted when you are dragged away by your own evil desire and enticed. That after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Somewhere deep within all of us, we know what it is. Perhaps we haven't said it out loud, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It is something you are ready to be done with, something that has caused damages, something that you can't change on your own. You are ready to be free from it, and today is the day to start. When facing the challenges of life, change or recovery from destructive patterns or addictions, we will face the issue of control. We will face the issue of control. Who will be in control of our decisions? Who will be in control of our choices and our desires? We will be in control, or will we allow God to be in control? Do you want to be in control, or do you want to allow God to be in control? The decision will either lead us in a positive or a negative direction. Who we give control to is ultimately the one that we trust the most. And I don't know about you, but I believe that sometimes trusting ourselves gets us in trouble. We need to trust God in every situation in our life. The choice to surrender is a decision to trust God and give him control of your life day in and day out. And that's not just on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but every day of your life. You need to make a decision to surrender your control to God. As we work towards life change, there will be a constant battle between our desires and God's desires for us. Temptation will always be waiting, and the enemy knows where our weaknesses lie. The battle against temptation is truly a battle for control that wages a war within each of us every day. We can fight this battle of control by making the choice to surrender to God each day. Whenever you start your morning, take some time. Take some time to read the word of God and pray a prayer of surrender. God blesses those who patiently endure testing and temptation. Afterward, they will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. And remember, when you are being tempted, do not say, God is tempting me. God is never tempted to do wrong, and he never tempts anyone else. Temptation comes from our own desires, which entice us, and it even begins to drag us away from the will and the purpose of God in our life. These desires give birth to sinful actions, and when sin is allowed to grow, it gives birth to death. Today, in your prayer time, there are three questions I want you to reflect on, and I want you to think through. And even if you have some time, write it down in your journal and answer those questions. But give it some thought. Number one, why do you find it difficult to give God control? Why? Is it because you don't trust him? Is it because you don't think that he's going to do what you want him to do? Why do you find it difficult to give God control? Number two, why do you want to be in control? Why? What does it give us? And what does it cost us? What does control give us? And what does control cost us? Think about that. And number three, what are some of the desires that tempt you personally? Today, I encourage you in your prayer time. Today, I encourage you in your meditation time to think on why you have to be in control. Why is it so hard to give control to an all-knowing God? A God that is present everywhere at the same time. A God that looks past our faults and sees our needs. A God that gives us grace and mercy day in and day out. Why is it so hard to give God control? And why do we allow temptations to drag us away from the purpose that God has called us to, whatever that purpose may be? On this Wednesday morning, hump day, think about that. Why do you have to be in control? Why won't you give God control? And what does it cost you to give it to God? Think about that today.